What up, YouTube family? How's everyone? Good Saturday evening. Beast Boy, say hi to everybody. Hello, everybody. Thank you, Beast Boy. Beast Boy, my buddy. Beast Boy, keeping me company. Everybody needs some company, you know? Always need someone to talk to. So, and it's also good to sit still and sometimes just meditate. But I want to talk about an idea that's been running through my noggin. It's nothing too crazy, but due to the fact that one has the song of the year, the other has the song of the summer. I'm speaking of Mr. Lamar and Mr. Mathers. I'm not saying which one's which. You be the judge. I've already had another YouTuber explain it to me what they thought. I think I kind of agree with them, but that's in the comments. If you guys want to look it up. I did put up a poll. I'm going to see if I can link it or put it in the comments. What you guys would think about a production. I'm talking about film. I'm not sure if it would be either a movie, like 90 to 120 minutes, or a series, like on Netflix or whatever. I'm thinking like a dramedy, but real drama, but of course you gotta have comedic aspects to it to keep the crowd engaged. They try to engage a lot, most of the demographics. I know both of them they're both great artists, and they both have the capacity to play roles of awesome alter ego characters. It would probably be I'm thinking like the main story would be like, of course, rap community. Obviously, Lamar is based out of Compton, and Mathers has a connection to Compton because he was essentially signed to Aftermath Records. That's where he got his big break from. We all know Aftermath Records was the record label which was started by Andre, aka the doctor of of producing, Dr. DRE. At this point, he's the surgeon of producing. He goes in and fixes beats if need be. But that mustard beat, man, that shit got everybody. I'm about to put up a mirror and start learning how to do that two-step whatever, because I need to do it just to show myself that even though I'm getting close to retirement age, ain't nothing I can do. I just recently talked to a buddy of mine. He's Ecuadorian, if I remember correctly, or Peruvian, Senor Aroca. And this man is built like a bull, man. He's about my height, but man, this guy, he'd probably take me and my boy who was in prison, who's also kind of built and stocky, but about my age. He could probably take both of us on without like that. And this guy, but he's an awesome dude, man. Humble. He was the one that when I was going through the troubled times, he told me, he's like, David, every night before you go to bed, get on your knees and you pray. But make sure you get on your knees and pray. And I will never forget that he told me that advice. And I'm not saying I follow it through, but I do say daily prayers and starting to do, at the very least, step-by-step meditations. I'm starting it slow because meditation is something that, you know, it takes time. But usually prayer is when we have a chance to give thanks and to give praise to our Creator, our higher power. And meditation is a chance when we have to listen to our higher power. So it's important as you try to grow spiritually, in my opinion. I mean, talk to maybe a pastor or somebody who has more knowledge about this than me. I'm just somebody that's talking into a phone that was designed in California and was manufactured probably in the Cheshire province in China, which is, I think, the Silicon Valley of China. But nonetheless, so I think the movie could be like a basic arc, like a basic storyline could be. I'm not sure how I could start. I was thinking I wanted the movie to be creativity without bounds. So in other words, because I've been seeing a lot of videos, like I've been seeing videos of Not Like Us in animation, Not Like Us mixed with like Tupac, and it's just, there's no bounds. There could be anime in there. There could be, like, you can incorporate video games, how people communicate through video games. It could be maybe that Mathers lives out in like the Midwest or whatever, Detroit, and he communicates every day with a character from LA. That's all he knows, and that's Lamar. Lamar, his alter ego could be, he could be like a comedian and like a movie, and like a TV sitcom movie star, right? But deep down, he's a lyricist, but he only performs for the best of the best because his freestyles cannot be beat. And he goes by a stage handle, and it could be something where, like, you know, he always wears like he could wear like a mask or something. Nobody knows who he is. So like when he comes to battle, they pay him like hundreds of thousands of dollars because, you know, you got these big rap artists who want to like battle, you know, want to battle the greatest, you know, freestyler of all time. And then maybe like one day, you know, Lamar's character, who's into video games, chatting on the Xbox Live or whatever with the guy from Detroit, who, you know, marshallmathers, who has a group at that time, because obviously this is back in the 80s, whatever. Ice Cube, Dr. Dre. I think Dr. Dre was in another group before he was in NWA. I forget, the Wrecking Crew, I believe it was. Until he met up with Eazy-E. Eazy-E was the OG gangster. Eazy-E was gangster. Now, Cube could write. He was a lyricist. Dre could produce. He's beats all day. And but Eazy-E wasn't the greatest rapper, but he was the realest rapper. Eazy-E was out, you know, when Ice Cube and Dre were, you know, trying to do good, because it's the hood don't mean everybody's got to be hoodlums, you know. There's people in the hood that want to do good with themselves. I bet the majority of them do, because everybody's got a purpose in life, no matter who you are. And I believe that. I believe that with all my heart. So with that being said, let's say they're playing video games, and then Lamar goes under another handle in the video games, and he's playing the guy from Detroit. The guy don't say he's from Detroit. He says he's from like Atlanta or something, you know, he just as a cover up. And he acts like he's like an Atlanta rapper, or he could be from anything, New York, you know, like the story, it could go anywhere. And then one day they decided to freestyle over the Xbox. And then this guy, who we only know as Eminem, because his name's he beats the alter ego of Lamar's character in a freestyle, but like it's unknown. It's only known amongst them two. Like they're playing a video game and then they freestyle, and Eminem beats him. So now this guy from Compton, he's like, what the? He stops doing comedy shows, which he's a big comedy hit. You know, he sells out seats. You know, he's like the next Chappelle. He stops doing sitcoms. You know, which he gets paid $1 million an episode. You know, he just disappears off the grid. Nobody knows what's happening to him. So he goes off and he goes to his, let's say his producer at the time is Dre, right? Fictional setting, because Dre's from Compton, and he tells Dre, hey Dre, there's this guy out in Atlanta, right, or New York or whatever, or maybe we could just say he really did say he was from Detroit. This is all just making it along as I go. I want to find out who he is, but this dude can rap. And then let's say maybe Dre's the only one knows that, you know, Lamar's alter ego is the one that freestyles and beats all the rappers. But they're like family members. They're like cousins, right? Like how Dre's cousin with like, or Snoop was cousin with like, I think, what was his name? ABC on a mission trying to find Warren G. I think Snoop was cousin with Warren G. No, I don't remember. Dre was cousin with somebody. I forget who it was. They were cousins. So anywho, so Dre starts scouting. He starts looking, and this is where I would like this to get. I want there to be cameos from like the greatest lyricists, greatest artists. It doesn't just have to be gangster rap. Like I remember one of the first things I remember from Lamar was when he did that song with The Lonely Island, and Lamar banged it. He banged it, and Lamar is an artist, man. He ain't just a diss rapper, man. Lamar could leave his rap career right now, and he could go be a movie star. That's how talented that gentleman is. I guarantee you. I truly believe he's that talented. But either way, so Dre starts scouting. This is back in the 90s or whatever. You know, they got their band. Lamar's still underground. He still goes, you know, he still's got that handle, and he'll still do freestyles because, you know, I guess sometimes some people are willing to be up to some people are willing to bet pink slips or you know, bet deeds to houses that they could beat him in a freestyle, and all the time he just wins, and nobody knows who he is. So, you know, Dre acts like he don't really know him. Dre acts like he's just like he's just his bodyguard, and he just like collects the shite for him because this guy don't even want to touch it. It don't mean nothing to him. He just wants to find the guy who beat him in the freestyle. And you know, I'm just thinking of ideas of how it could go around, and it could be like a mission of them both trying to find one another. The video game could be like a part of it, of them, you know, connecting with one another. And then through the video game, you can also get parts of like the of the film, which could be animated. The characters themselves, they could be put into animation, whether it could be anime style or like, you know, whatever different kind of styles and style, or just multi-styles. You know, break the boundaries. You know, think outside the boxes. I mean, as long as it's something that, you know, is legitimately, it's legit. You know, it's dope and wicked. You know, and I'm a dork, but I'm willing to say those words because I really think that these two, if they got together and they produced something like this could win. You know, I mean, obviously awards don't mean nothing because half the time it's just about money, but we all know damn well Lamar deserved Artist of the Year in the Grammys over Macklemore, but he got his Grammy eventually. And Lamar's been in the scene for a while, you know, and like Charlamagne the God said, I saw on the short the other day that people talking about how Lamar used this track as a comeback. And then Charlamagne was saying, like, do people know who Kendrick Lamar is? He had the biggest sold out single solo tour of all time, $118 million, okay, by himself, all right? And you gotta remember, Lamar, yeah, he's a small stature, you know. He's like my height, let's say. I'm like 5'6", so dude's probably like 5'6", 5'7", right, give or take. But dude has a presence to him because he's just the greatest. You know what I'm saying? At this point, I'm debating who the GOAT is. I don't know if it's Eminem or I don't know if it's Lamar. And that's why I would love to see this to be made. And then the final conflict of the movie could probably be a rap battle amongst them two, and there could be a twist. Since Eminem is just coming out to the scene, he doesn't want his face to be shown battling, you know, the undefended, like the undefeated underground freestyle rapper. So he puts on like a mask too, you know, and they both rap, like, you know, they both freestyle like with anonymity, and it just goes back and forth, and it just, place just blows up. And it could, you know, it could be like a Stranger Things kind of thing. Like it could go into the underworld, you know, like then the scene could change because the level, you know how video games are, you reach certain levels and then like things change, that the stages change, you know, just the cinematography, like the way, like, you know, the production could be made. Obviously there could be a lot of it could be CGI, but a lot of it could be practical too. I mean, we would need investors if it's going to be something of that scale, but I think it has the potential because with the star power between Eminem right now, who's killing Slim Shady, Lamar right now, who literally just dissed a Canadian in, I don't know which of the two is worse, by calling him a PDF file or by calling him a colonizer. God dang, man, this and that mustard beat, obviously that's the backbone, don't get me wrong. I was asking first time, like, man, who made this beat? Because, you know, that's, you know, without that beat, you ain't got the song. But, you know, Lamar laying down the tracks. I'm sorry for the dogs, but, you know, I record outside because obviously I'm homeless, but whatever. You know, it's all good because home is where your heart is. So as long as, you know what I'm saying, you're rich in spirit, you know what I'm saying, it's all good. I've known people that were homeless and they were some of the happiest people I ever met. Alright? They weren't always that they didn't want to work. You know, they work, but a lot of them, they go through trauma in their life. You know, life is hard. Can cause a lot of trauma and traumatic events, or sometimes people fall into, like, you know, addiction, which is a disease. At least here in the United States, the American Medical Association diagnoses it. There's different diagnoses actually, because of the ICD-10 diagnoses codes, it's got to be super specific. So in other words, you can't not just be an addict. When they diagnose you, they have to put what type of addiction you are addicted to, and it's supposed to be so that when insurance companies get your info, they have a better understanding about your health and your overall well-being. And, like, you know, it's all about data. Data is money, and data is how the government controls masses. Our phones, which are pretty much, you know how they say, oh, we're gonna get chips on us. We've been had chips. It's called GPS. We've been had chips. It's called Social Security number. We've been had chips. It's called, you know, like in Colombia, you get a cédula. That means that's like a citizenship card, and you get a number, that number right there that tracks you for your life. Because I got dual citizenship, so I'm like 1,000 million, 100 million, I forget, 129 million, I forget what 667,000, some shit like that. Man, I forgot what my number was. I lost my cellular a long time ago. So yeah, man, I put a thing up, like a little vote. I don't know if anybody's gonna vote because my channel is so small. The almighty algorithm, which I'm sure Alphabet doesn't know anything about. Most nowadays, a lot of code is written on top of old code, and the people who do the code, most of the time, they have people who verify that there's nothing in there that is going to cause malware or is going to cause a virus down the road. But if not done, you could be building on top of old code that could essentially have malware or could essentially have spyware hidden in there and you don't even know. But yeah, algorithms are weird how they grow, because essentially they start creating connections, and then based on those connections, it's almost like how the brain, the nerve, like the neurons in the brain, they create connections, and once they create connections, they establish, like you establish memory through your short-term memory, which then becomes your long-term memory. You have a part of your brain which causes you to have fear, and it's important because in case you're in a dangerous event, fear can save your life because it can help, things like that. It's things that through our evolution has helped us as human beings make it to where we are right now. But in my opinion, human beings are due to think about our next step in evolution. The first thing that I think about is prosperity through peace. Okay? Now, I know that the war, what do they call it? The war machine, what's his name? Was it Eisenhower that said it? The military complex, the military industry, or whatever. I know that they have a stronghold because they have contracts in all these states where these people depend on those jobs. But those jobs, it could be used in peaceful ways instead of making rock. One of the guys who worked for the Nazis, allegedly, he said, yeah, we built them U-2 rockets, but they weren't supposed to be landing over in England. They landed in the wrong place. They were supposed to be landing on the moon. You know what I'm saying? So all the technology that we have, that we can use, that we use to kill and that we use to hurt one another, which is backwards thinking. It's digressing as a species. You know what I'm saying? That backwards thinking, we need to start moving forward, and we need to start progressing. We need to start having progressive thoughts. And with those progressive thoughts, I wrote the other day, a little essay, because I was tired of watching, screens, so I decided to write. And that's where I got the 1,221 words after I counted the words. But the title was something about, can we have prosperity without war, or something like that? Because all we've known throughout history of humankind is, after war, there's always prosperity. There's always one side prospers, the other side is indebted. The United States has been unique because they've usually helped to rebuild nations that they destroyed, with the exception of Iraq. I don't understand why the fuck we bombed the shit out of them, and there's infrastructure still fucking 60, back in the 16th century, 17th century. What the fuck is that? We left Afghanistan, the Taliban took over right away, and as soon as they took over, what did they do? What the World Health Organization and even the United States had been asking Afghanistan to do for decades. Please stop your poppy productions. The Taliban, right away, within 2 months, bam, no more poppy productions. What do we have now? We have fentanyl, we have carfentanil, we have all this other type of synthetic opioids that are killing Westerners left and right. Why? Because the Taliban, they were the ones that they went in and they got the job done. They got rid of that Afghan poppy, which is the best opium in the world, and you don't really need to fucking consume heroin to enjoy it. You could just smoke poppy, and that's fucking just as good. You know what I'm saying? And it's not as addictive, and it's less likely to cause, like your breathing to slow down to the point where, you have to be given CPR or Narcan or anything, because the level of concentration of the alkaloids, which bond in the brain, the agonists, they bond to like different types. There's different names for them, the receptors that in the brain of which these chemicals bind to. There's two different types of chemicals that I know that are derived from opium. One is morphine, of course, which that's where we get heroin from. I think it's acetaminophen, if I remember correctly. The other one is, I don't know if it's Sabine or Sabine or whatever, Sabine. That one, that's where we get oxycodone, Oxycontin, and the medication that I use is called buprenorphine. But buprenorphine is a little different. It's derived from sabine. That's why instead of giving you a drowsy effect, it gives, it helps you, helps you so you can clean. It takes the pain away, but it's also a partial agonist, which, like I've mentioned 1,000 times before, I don't know why methadone clinics even exist. Okay, my wife's been on methadone for heaven knows how many years. You know how many teeth she's got left? You know what I'm saying? And she's been given so much shite. She suffers more from anxiety than she does from having the need to, use an opioid product. But she has not written the amount of anti-anxiety medication that she needs. She really does suffer from it, okay? I've only started having panic attacks really after a certain period of time. I'm not gonna say when. And that's when I started asking for it. But she's been having it way longer than I have, okay? But, so and they give her a measly one pill every fucking 12 hours. Get the fuck out of here. And why? Because she's on a full agonist synthetic opioid, which is fucking, I take, so what? It's a fucking tablet that might take a half an hour to melt under your tongue completely. Take it any day of the week. You know why? Because the price is right. I tried medication-assisted treatment before I was on buprenorphine, or Subutex, I should say, because there's Suboxone. That's the one I tried before. You know how much it was costing me? For what I paid for 1 week of treatment, I'm paying now less than that for a whole month's worth of treatment with the same medication, just a different formulation. It's a tablet, it's not a film. It doesn't have the Narcan or the naloxone, which is allegedly put in there so people don't abuse it, which is BS, because I've seen people already do it. They do it anyways, because people who know about it or read about it, they understand that Narcan has like a 6 or 7 minute half-life, so they still shoot it up after 7 minutes, then that's when they start feeling the thing, as opposed to Subutex, where they would just feel it right away. But I'm trying to really progress in my recovery. I'm getting to the point where enough is enough. My anxiety medication, because I'm not prescribed enough, I end up finishing always like a couple days early, and that's always a problem. So I try my best on certain days to take less, but it just never works. It never works. It's always, and I think it's because of the fact that when you have different individuals requesting different things from you always, and sometimes at the same time, and you're trying to do one thing, and while you're doing one thing, somebody else is requesting something else. And I'm getting to a point where I'm not that young anymore. I did work a whole lot in my life, and I know it for a fact because when I was doing consulting work for that optometrist office that I used to work for, I used to have to clean up the records because after 7 years, an MD or a doctor doesn't really have to keep the records anymore. I'm not sure of all MDs, but a doctor of optometry, 7 years, after that you're good. You can throw it away. And I would look through all the records, and I remember I started working when I was 17 years old. This was in March of the year 2000, so that was 24 years and like 4 months ago. Okay, 3 plus 4 is 7, right? Yeah, 24 years and 4 months ago I started working at this place when I was a teenager. Okay, and as soon as I started working at this place, bam, data entry, answering phones, doing interviews. I didn't do the claims yet because the owner at the time, he was the owner and he was the person that was actually practicing too, and he was doing fraud, okay? Which I understand now. That's why I owe a big apology to, they know who it is because I worked for it long enough, and I know how hard these insurance companies make it for little mom and pop places to survive. That's why I was conned into signing up into a marketplace insurance, which is pretty much Affordable Health Care Act, pretty much. And I signed up for it, and after I seen how much they pay to these, these RPH, these registered pharmacists, they pay them next to nothing, nada. They pay them, combined with the copay that I pay, it's literally half of the amount that I used to pay at the cheapest pharmacist that was cash. Half of the amount. How are these pharmacies supposed to survive? No wonder the first pharmacy that I went to, that I know the owner, he told me straight up, he's like, man, I can't take this. It won't work. Because they reimburse him for, I'm not even going to get into the numbers, but it's pathetic. It's pathetic. And you want to know who's making all the money? The CEOs of these companies, the stockholders. These are privately funded companies for the most part. Some of them are, government subsidiaries, whatever, they get grants. But for the most part, it's all about capitalism. But anyways, back to the idea. lamarXmathers. Let me know what you guys think. I'm going to try to put the link in the comment. I would like to see a little bit of participation. If 5 souls reply, I don't know, say something in the comments. I'll take a challenge or something. Okay. What does arrivederci mean again? I think that's French. Either way, ciao, it's easier. Thank you kindly for watching all the way to this moment. I'm going to leave the link in the comment. Please pick a vote. Thank you for watching. Please hit that like button. Lionel Messi brought magic to Miami. KL and MM can bring magic to the Cedars. Alright? Thanks again. Be blessed. Peace.